Far from the Feralia fairgrounds, there is a ranch. The owner, Robert Romero, struggled to make ends meet. His wife already passed away in these hard times, and all he had left was his son, Richard. In an act of desperation, Robert went to the dammed docks carrying his wife's urn. When he returned hours later, he had a single egg with him. He did not have his wife's ashes anymore. He dug a large pond in one of his now empty corrals and left the egg in a nest of rotting hay. Soon the egg hatched and his first beast was born, a reptile with 4 flippers, a long neck, and sharp teeth, even after birth. But this beast helped single-handedly save the entire ranch. People would come from far and wide to see the beast of the Romero Ranch. But soon the fame faded and the money with it. A single monster was no longer enough to bring in the crowds. So Robert took 3 of his best horses down to the dammed docks. When he returned with 3 unique beasts. The first was a large dog with fur as dark as night and teeth as white as bone and eyes as red as blood. The hellhound became the new family dog, protecting the Romeros from any threats that may come close. If you look closely, you may see a dog as large as a horse wandering around. Don't worry, he's friendly to you, if you're friendly to the ranch. The second beast was a very large Shire horse with gorgeous white fur and a dark mane. A powerful horse with more strength than a team of horses, and gentle as can be. Obedient and gentle to everyone. Kind enough and gentle enough for even the most timid of children to ride without fear. But when the full moon rose, the truth of the pale horse was revealed. A skeletal horse with eyes gray as hell's ashes, with a saddle tied onto its back, made for a rider that all of the armies of the earth would dare not oppose. A rider who still seeks out his lost horse. The final beast started small, no bigger than a chicken, with big eyes and a strong nose, and it walked on 2 legs. It had to be fed strange meat that Robert would never explain where he got. But his son assumed it had to be obtained from the dammed docks. This creature, simply named Rex, grew year after year, till a colossal concrete corral had to be constructed around the cantankerous creature. The king of colossal cryptids brought people from around the entire world, including great hunters who wanted to learn from this gigantic feathered predator. But to those who want to see it, don't worry, the corral is durable, and Rex hasn't been able to break out. Yet. But even that wasn't enough for Robert Romero. Sure, he had visitors every day. He even had money flowing in from the Hunters Guild, universities, and scientists who all wanted to study all the wonderful creatures he had in the Romero Ranch. But to him, it wasn't enough. Robert traded away all of his animals, one by one, down at the dammed docks to bring more and more cryptids into his ranch, both for guests to pet and for scientists to study. You can see these creatures down there, even now. The monster menagerie is a large part of the Romero Ranch. Here, any guest can learn about many of the cryptic creatures that live in our world. First, there are the safe-to-pet creatures. Puny plesiosaurs that splash when not pet enough, to the jumping jackalopes who love being pet and will leap high into the air when they are seen. They are so soft and fluffy, but don't touch their antlers. They're sharp. But past where you can pet them, you can find experienced hunters who will teach about some of the more misunderstood, mysterious monsters massed amongst mankind. Here, you can find large arthropods a rare few would ever see, such as spiders larger than most horses, or crabs that play piano with their claws. These creatures are often seen as terrifying to the Tipicam, but to the curious and kind, they are merely additional members of the same world that is shared. Deeper in the menagerie, you might find exhibits that are broken. Broken because the creatures inside had gotten out. You may find the placards that explained what was inside of the exhibits. The first exhibit is built to resemble the mountains of Parsis. It is large enough to hold a pride of lions, but in this exhibit it contained a single creature. The placard on the front marked it as containing a manticore. Wherever it is now, it isn't where it should be. The next broken exhibit is built to resemble the dark northern forest. Built like a terrarium and even larger than the cage that held the manticore. But if you peer into the dark trees, you may see a tunnel of dark webs and something moving within it. But despite the movement, the glass is broken and the hunters have reassured everyone that there is no one in there. The placard warns that inside of the case is Jayan. Wherever he is hiding now, he has left his heart behind. And at the final end, you may find an empty case covered in a red and gold curtain marked as "Coming Soon." The exhibit beneath the curtain is complete, but empty, never having a chance to contain what it was supposed to hold. The placard is still there underneath the curtain for those brave enough to pass by the open exhibits to see what is going to be added to the Romero Ranch. But even with all of these incredible attractions, Robert wanted more and more. So he arranged a trade at the damned docks, one for his greatest attraction yet. What he offered, or what he was offered, isn't known. What is known is that the damned delivered, and Robert robbed them. Ever since that night, something carved the name Romero out of the sign and scratched in Rancid. Something has haunted the Rancid Ranch since then, coming out at night, howling and hunting with fury and fear. Robert also stalks the ranch, looking for someone or something to offer to those he had dealt with at the damned docks. However, with no animals left to trade, where is he going to find a living creature to offer to the damned for his latest attraction? Not far from the Rancid Ranch, if you go past the vendors, the corrals, and the creatures, you will find the damned docks where Robert Romero does all of his trades. Once these docks were one of the busiest in the world, with shipments from everywhere. But then, overnight, there was an incident. Something inside one of the shipping containers was released by mistake. What exactly was released? There were no survivors to tell the tale, and anyone who went to collect the bodies never returned. However, not everyone who went into the damned docks has died. Dark deals are drawn down in the damned docks. The ones who make these dark deals don't deal with the uninvited well. So if you do make it down to the docks, it may be better to avoid being near anyone. After all, what are the odds of anyone wanting to help you if they are on the damned docks? From the mousers who traveled through the docks and returned, there are still things to find down at the damned docks. Shipping containers still full of unknown items, some of which may still be valuable to those who want to prospect for it. A golden table floats above the river. Only a foolish man will stumble in sight. He does not know that his demise is certain. His greed is stronger than his will to live. If he tries to steal what is not his, he shall drown beneath the surface. If you hear splashing underneath the docks, don't peer too deeply into the fog. Whatever is splashing underneath the docks is probably harmless, like sharks, eels, jellyfish, or crabs. If the splashing follows you, remain silent and pretend you didn't notice. If it knows you noticed, it won't keep pretending. If it's no longer pretending, run. If you hear walruses, you know that you are safe. Ish. Don't get too close to walruses because they can be mean and the tusks are sharp. But still, they are a comfort because you know that whatever haunts you will eat a juicy walrus first. If you travel far enough down the docks that you can not see the shore anymore, it gets much more dangerous down in the docks. Here, no more deals are made. Both angels and demons fear to tread here. Here you will find many odd noises. That's normal and even good. The sea under the docks is ancient, older than even the eldest immortal, and not much will silence her waves. If there is silence, and you cannot even hear the waves that are beneath you, be afraid. Be very afraid. There's a powerful primal predator nearby that all of the docks fear. You might hear a distant bell. That bell is your warning that the shepherd is nearby. The shepherd stalks these seas, and very few have seen him, and they have only seen him from a distance. A skeletal figure dressed in a dark cloak and carrying a shepherd's crook in one hand, that gives his name, and in the other hand a silver bell that announces his presence. Most mousers will tell you to avoid the shepherd at all costs, but also that it is essential for you to travel through his territory to get through the docks. One mouser, by the name of Michael, will tell you, however, that the shepherd is the one who is essential to get through the docks. No one has seen him return from the damned docks in a long time. If you do get past the shepherd, you will have to brave the dark docks and hopefully find the one correct path that leads to the crooked cemetery. The prize of braving the damned docks. The crooked cemetery surrounds the pumpkin house, and it is built on an island that can only be accessed via the damned docks. Very few know the way through the damned docks to the crooked cemetery. Michael the Mouser may know the way, if you can find him in the damned docks. The shepherd knows the way for sure, but why would he ever lead you out? Maybe if you knew what he wanted, you may negotiate a deal. Unlike with the corn maze, no one knows for sure what the end of the docks look like. Some say at the very end of the docks is a lonely, leaky lifeboat, last lifeline leading to the labyrinth's lament. This boat could be taken deeper into the labyrinth, or could be taken back to the Rancid Ranch. Maybe you prefer cryptozoology over zoos of crypts. But that is only one theory of what is at the end. Others say the docks connect to the island like a bridge, a solitary standing scaffold snapping shaky safety to speculative sincerity. The few who make it here warn that the graves here are much more dangerous than the cenotaphs in the fairgrounds. They are never empty because they never get the chance to be empty. Even the deadliest demons dwelling down on the damned docks don't darken the doorway of that dangerous dirt yard. If you do see this place, will you even be able to open the gates? They are entombed and inhumed with immaculate iron and a lock with a key that no one has been able to find. You may try to climb them, but there's a reason nothing on either side of the gate has even attempted such a task. But do remember, if you do make it to the gates of the Crooked Cemetery, think about your choice very thoroughly. There will be no freedom forward, only frightful facts. The mystery of the pumpkin house will continue to unravel, only if you move on. But maybe you found enough. Maybe you are satisfied and want to turn back. Just know, once you leave the damned docks, whether you return to the Rancid Romero Ranch or crawl onto the creepy Crooked Cemetery, you will not return to the docks ever again.